Well, welcome to the Excel in Retirement podcast, where we help good people make wise financial decisions so that they can excel in retirement. Your guide is David Treese, a financial advisor who shares his expertise to help you achieve greater peace of mind about your finances today and have the information you need to create a plan for your future so that you can excel in retirement. I'm the host of the show, Andy Traub, and today David's going to talk to us about the importance and the details around Medicare and how it really influences everyone in their finances later in life. David, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Sandy. Appreciate it. I'm excited to do this with you.
So you get to talk about Medicare with a lot of people. Most people don't want to think about Medicare. Most people sort of know it's out there, but it's like healthcare, where you just kind of go like, I'm glad it's there, but I don't want to think about it. I don't have to necessarily use it. But Medicare is going to come into your life if you live long enough. So can you just give us the 10,000-foot view on what is Medicare, and then when do people have to really start to interact with it?
Sure. So the whole purpose of this from a macro level is just to help people have more clarity and confidence in retirement. And that's our goal going into it. But when you get to be 65, you would have to be in a coma or living in a cave to not know about your Medicare options coming in, because your mailbox will be bombed and somehow they'll get your phone number and you will know what's going on. And so we have to, if we are not working and we do not have credible coverage, we have to enroll in Medicare Part A and Part B and Part D at 65. Otherwise, we will be penalized for the rest of our life when we get on it later.
And tell us what Medicare provides and why it's a good thing and why you would want to enroll.
Well, we've all been paying into Medicare taxes as we've been working, and some people might not like to hear this, but Medicare is socialized medicine. And so the government comes in if we've worked and we have paid into Social Security and Medicare. The government says that they will provide or pay for 80% of our medical care, with a few caveats. And so you have Part A, which is your hospital coverage. That helps you if you're ever admitted to the hospital. And then Part B helps you if you ever see a healthcare professional outside of a hospital admission. And so that's your outpatient care. So you have to pay for Part B every month, and that comes, if you're claiming Social Security, just comes off the top of your Social Security check, but it starts at $185 per person for Part B.
Okay. And the D?
A D is your drug plan. So regardless of whether you, or irregardless, is that how I should say it? Irregardless of whether you take drugs or not, you have to get a prescription drug plan. And if you wanted to simplify it, you could go to Medicare.gov, and there's actually a tool where you could plug in your actual drugs that you take into this tool, and it will tell you the best drug plan that you should buy. And then every year during open enrollment, which is in October, November, and part of December, you will be able to change that for the following year if your drugs changed. But even if you're not taking drugs, you must get a drug plan.
So people don't think about this. They don't really understand its impact. From a financial perspective, if you do this right, what good things happen? And if you don't do it or you do it wrong, what bad things happen?
Well, sometimes people get better health insurance coverage than they've ever had. And so that's something to look forward to. And sometimes it can be cheaper. And sometimes you can have options depending on your choices for going to more healthcare professionals than you have been able to go to. And so, for example, you've got a 20% that you're responsible for. And if you go the supplement route and you select a supplement, there's 10 different plans that you can pick from. But if you picked a supplement, you can typically go to any doctor that takes Medicare, which is typically just about all of them. And so that is a great thing with the supplement that you're using to cover the 20% that you're responsible for.
So tell us where people get this wrong. Where do people make mistakes when they're thinking about making this decision?
Well, in 14 years, I've run into one lady that did not get on Medicare at the right time, and her husband somehow convinced her not to do it. And she was in her early 70s. This was years back when we were interacting, and there was a penalty that was so large that it was cost prohibitive for her to get on Medicare at that point. And so we want to get on Medicare, and then we want to make a good decision. The first time that you get on Medicare is called a guaranteed issue period, and you can select any kind of Medicare Advantage plan you want or any kind of supplement you want, and you do not have to answer any health questions. So you could literally have a foot in the grave, and you could get any kind of supplement or Advantage plan the first time that you enroll in it. So if you have health challenges, it can be very important that you make a good decision the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's going to pick up where your other stuff was going to kind of leave off, and it's about having a good transition between the two.
Yes.
Where does this play into conversations that you have with your clients and their retirement?
Right.
Why do you bring it up? You know, I mean, is it,
Well, from a fiduciary standpoint, I think that it's important to try to help people understand their choices when it comes to Medicare and make sure that they are connected with people that can help them, professionals that can help them make the best choices possible. Number one. Number two is there's penalties. So I guess it would be called a penalty, or surcharges is technically what Medicare calls it.
right?
If you earn too much, your Part B and Part D can cost more. And so understanding that if you are earning over certain limits, that you're going to be paying more for Medicare can be very important. And the other thing with that is Medicare for your Part D and Part B is looking 2 years in reverse.
Well, that's right.
So your Part
That's right.
B is the cost for it is derived from your income 2 years ago.
Right. And so where that can come into play is if you got, if you made a huge chunk of money 2 years ago, that they would look at that and go, "Oh, you made $450,000." You're like, "Oh, actually, I usually make 150, but that year, whatever happened, right?
Yeah.
You sold a business or something like that." So you have to factor that in. What it really leads me to is, as we focus on these key ages, is that you want to start to think about this before you get there.
Yes, for sure.
Right. I think about when I used to have to navigate with a map. It's funny, if you're watching the video, I'll show you this coaster. I got this for Christmas from my sister last year. And it says, was driving with my dad the other day, and he told me to get the map out of the glove box. And he says, "Easy there, Indiana Jones. I'll just Google it." Meaning, like, there was that time in life when you had to navigate with a map. And I remember being like, "Okay, we're coming up to this exit. We're coming up to this." And I was like, no, turn here, turn here. Now we have machines that tell us, I can see, okay, in 6.2 miles, I'm going to have to turn, right? And I don't want to be in this lane. Meaning, you don't have to make those split-second decisions. And that's the wrong time to decide if you need to exit is right when you're on the exit, right?
Yes.
And the wrong time to think about Medicare is in that moment,
Yes.
right? Like, we have better ways to navigate than sort of being like, "Oh, wow, I guess my birthday's tomorrow. I should start thinking about Medicare because I'm going to be 65. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what kind of conversation or what information do people need if they're going to talk with you about Medicare?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be under pressure when you're trying to make decisions, I think is kind of what you're getting at.
Sure.
Really, the biggest derivative of the cost is the drugs that you take. So if you have health challenges and you're taking certain special drugs, that can drive up the cost potentially. And so that's really all that you would need. In order to start Medicare, that same login that you have for SSA.gov, you can enroll in Medicare right then.
Oh, nice.
And typically, if you're starting Social Security and you're 65, it's going to automatically do it for you. So you might have to take some steps to, if you don't want that to happen, to tell them. But you have to start that Medicare when you turn in 65, and then you need that red, white, and blue card in your hand that gives you your Medicare number before you can pick an Advantage plan or a supplement out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so you need that. So that's important to do. There's a step to it, and so you really want to start working on this about 3 months out from when you want it to start is the ideal thing. If you're still employed and your employer, you're deemed to have credible coverage, you don't have to do anything at 65. You can choose to pick up Part A, which is your hospital coverage, and you can have your regular coverage. You can't have Part B and have your regular under 65 insurance, though.
Yeah, and frankly, as you talk about those things, it's like, could they come up with better names for these things? Because You're like, okay, which one's B and which, it's like the who's on first, what's on second thing. You know what I mean? Come on, but the reason that I make that joke is that this can be difficult to navigate.
Yes.
That's the point, right?
Yes.
It's like, the reason that bit about who's on first, what's on second is so funny is because it's confusing, right? But Medicare is not, it's confusing, but it's not funny, right? It's not a joke,
Yes.
but it is confusing. So you need to get it figured out. And I think that finding someone, and this is, I think, where we can leave this, is finding someone that could help you make this decision as part of your other financial decisions is really important. Because the person who wants to, and this is, if people sell cars, God bless them. But the person who wants to sell you a car, they don't really care about the rest of your financial decisions. They just worry about you selling you a car, right? And because that's their job. But the fiduciary responsibility you have as an advisor, David, you're going to have the Medicare conversation in light of their other finances. And so you want to make sure when you're having this discussion, you're talking with someone who's you're talking with someone you want to avoid someone who their only incentive is to sell you Medicare plan, whatever, right? You want someone that's going to factor in all of your financials, not just that one piece. I'm not saying that you can't, buy different insurance from different people or whatever. That's fine, but you don't want to make this decision in an isolated situation, right?
Yeah, we have partners that we refer this to. I'm licensed to be able to help someone with Medicare, but it's just such a niche thing, and it changes so often that it can be helpful to have people that work in that full time, that are looking out for your best interest, and people that are not captive to one insurance company like you're talking about. That when you call them, that's what you're getting. Kind of like when you walk in Starbucks, you're going to get Starbucks coffee. You're not getting anything else. And so it's the similar concept, but it can be very important. And the other thing is factoring in what kind of out-of-pocket cost you might have in your budget need if you're using a Medicare Advantage plan, because you can have some out-of-pocket cost. It typically doesn't have a premium that you're paying, but you will pay for it when you get care or whatnot. Right. And so you want to factor that in. And so there's just some important things to know with that, and then just understanding what you need to do during open enrollment in the fall of the year can be important as well. Yeah.
What this reminds me of, David, we'll end on this, is I don't know that I've mentioned this before, maybe I have, but my wife's heated seat in her minivan broke once. And I was like, I'm sure there's a video about that on YouTube. And sure enough, there was, about how to fix broken seat on 2000 whatever Honda Odyssey.
Yeah.
And then I watched the video, and like half of it, maybe a quarter of it, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. Most of the times I find a YouTube video, like someone breaks it down. This person broke it down, but I was like, I'm not doing that. That's what reminds me of this is like with Medicare, the more I hear about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I don't want to figure that on my own.
Right.
It reminds me of that YouTube video where I was like, I understand it enough to know that I don't understand it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I need help. I understand it enough that I need help, right? And so if that's where you are, then I want to encourage you to reach out to David's office. You can go to hello, or send an email to hello@clientsexcel.com, or just go to clientsexcel.com and the website, and you can contact me through there. But if this is an area that you don't have 100% confidence in, you need to have 100% confidence in it. And you're not going to very likely get to that confidence level on your own.
Right.
So reach out to David. He's got, again, partners that he works with that can help when you actually need to make that purchasing decision. But these are not decisions to be made in isolation from the rest of your finances. So make sure you're factoring those in, that you're working with a professional like David to make those decisions, so you make sure you make the right ones in light of your other financial situation. So, David, I'm going to give you the last word just as an encouragement to people about what they should do when it comes to, or when they should be having the conversation.
I think what most people don't understand too is you can typically get advice on something like this from someone that is independent, like our referral partners and so forth, that doesn't cost you anymore. And so you can get the information, it doesn't cost you anymore. But our goal, though, when we help folks, is if it takes you this long to figure something out, we want to take it down where it's like that much time to figure things out. And that's what we want to do, because I don't know about you, but I don't think most people want to be thinking about Medicare And so there's other things that you probably enjoy,
Sure.
like golfing or grandkids or whatever the case
Or
is for you.
anything else in the world other than thinking about Medicare? Yes.
Yes, yeah.
You
So that
know?
we want to
Yeah.
get you past that as quickly as possible is our goal.
Absolutely. Maybe I'll end with this last analogy, which is, you can do your own taxes. You can. You absolutely can. You have every right, and you could do that. Are you going to do them right? And do you want to do them?
Yes.
And for most people, when I was 16 and I worked at the pet store, and I made $5,000 that year or whatever, because that was a lot of money,
Yeah.
32 years ago. But it was easy to do my taxes, and now I'm like, someone do my taxes. So you don't want to mess this up, and so reach out to David, reach out to his team, and they'll take good care of you. So David, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Andy. Have a good one.
Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. Clients excel in Creative One Wealth or unaffiliated entities. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and do not provide tax or legal advice. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss. Licensed insurance professional. Insurance and annuity products are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Investment advisory services are provided in accordance with a fiduciary duty of care and loyalty that includes putting your interests first and disclosing conflicts. Insurance services have a best interest standard, which requires recommendations to be in your best interest. Advisors may receive commission for the sale of insurance and annuity products.